Happy Monday, football fans. You have found the Behind the Lines podcast for week number 8 in the National Football League. My name is Stephen Andress, managing editor at TheLines.com, joined each and every Monday on this show by Christian Cipollini, sports trader at BetMGM. On this show, we're going to look back at the week that was betting in the National Football League in week 7, the biggest public wins, the biggest public losses. We'll also look ahead to Monday Night Football, where the liabilities are, how much is being bet on each side of the Patriots and the Bears game. We'll look at opening lines for week number 8 at BetMGM and share my early week bets there. And lastly, a special treat. If you notice my hat and Christian's shirt, a couple of Phillies fans here. So we're going to talk a little World Series between the Astros and the Phillies, where the liabilities are at BetMGM going into this final event of the Major League Baseball season with game 1 on Friday down in Houston. Christian, first of all, I don't even need to ask you how your weekend was. It was as good as mine, my friend.
Of course. Yeah. Couldn't get much better than that one, I'd say.
Yeah. Bryce Harper with a legendary swing of a baseball bat, but we'll first start in the National Football League. Week 7, public win or public loss for everybody out there?
It got a lot closer, but it was a public loss again.
All right, so that's now through 7 weeks, 1-6 for the public if you're looking at just overall win or loss for each week. How big, though? You said it was close, right? Not too far. Like last week, week 6 is one of the biggest weeks of the book. It was the biggest week of the book for the year, right?
Yeah. At least one, top 2 for sure. Last week was. This one was a little like a couple things going the other way. Could have made some changes, but we had our old friend help us out again, Tom Brady, this week. Losing to the Panthers was one that really changed kind of the whole weekend around. One that could have been a loser into a winner.
People stop betting Tom Brady, people. Like the Bucs are bad. They can't figure it out. Let them show it to you first. No more blind faith in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. We'll get to their Thursday night game here against the Ravens, which is interesting because that line has moved a ton off the look ahead. But what were some of the biggest public wins in week number 7?
Yeah, for us, Chiefs 49ers actually was a very big public win. It probably helped with all the points, like we've said in the past, a lot of touchdown scores, which helped them win there. The Jets was another big public win. People riding on that one, and it worked out for them. Also the Giants. So those New York markets, 2 of the big winners for the public.
Yeah, I imagine with how much handle there is in New York, like they blow away every other state in betting handle, it seems, with just the population there and how much betting is part of the culture that I'm guessing most every week you are not Giants or Jets fans at the book.
Yes, I mean, this season, no, but usually in the past it hasn't been a problem because they haven't been good, but both at the same time now are 5-2 and 6-1, so...
Yeah, very interesting dynamic there with the emergence of the legal New York sports betting market for sure. Okay, the flip side here, what were some of the biggest public losses in week number 7?
Yeah, for sure. Bucks Panthers, as we mentioned earlier. Another one was the Packers losing to the Commanders. That one wasn't as big as the Bucks one. We still saw about 90-95% of our money coming on the Bucks. That wasn't the case with the Packers. It was a little bit closer this time. It was about 70% coming through. So there was a little bit more people shying off of the Packers after their back-to-back losses. And another one, the Seahawks upset also was another one for the Buck.
Well, I can assure you that most of our audience did not bet the Packers because I feel like every show we had last week, somebody on our staff was saying to bet the Washington Commanders to cover that spread with the offensive line issues and the thumb for Aaron Rodgers and no trust in his wide receivers. That Green Bay team is a mess right now, and we'll get to it in a minute here, but a historic spread for Aaron Rodgers coming up here against Buffalo. We'll tell you about that in just a moment when we get to opening lines for week number 8. Looking ahead here to Monday Night Football, Christian, between the Patriots and the Chicago Bears as we record here on Monday morning. I believe the Patriots are around 8 or 8.5 here for Monday Night Football. So any outcome here that can sway the result for the week?
Yeah, I think we are at 8 for the Patriots right now. I would think that this is going to be one of our more least bet on primetime games that we'll have, just looking at by what we have in so far. So we definitely need the Patriots. Last I looked, it was about like 70%, 80% of our bets are on the Patriots. So we'll need the Bears here. But it probably shouldn't sway it too hard. Just kind of looking at the total, it being a lower scoring game. Now, if it does pop off, maybe it does or doesn't. But I think we should probably be okay this week.
Yeah, I have a teaser leg here with the Patriots tonight. It was the first one I circled at the start of the week. I imagine you guys probably have a ton of teaser liability with the Patriots as well in this one, getting down under the key numbers of 7-3. So we'll see how this one works out. The Patriots have looked really strong after having a tough schedule to start the season, and now they're playing some cupcakes here. So we'll see if they can win by a big margin here again against a team that's rated one of the bottom 3 teams in the league, in the Chicago Bears. Okay, Christian, let's look ahead to week number 8, the opening lines at BetMGM. I have a few bets to share here, but first let's start with the Thursday night game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, so the Ravens are now road favorites, 1.5 points with a 44.5 point total.
And that's flipped. I mean, I believe this was about 3 for the Bucs before they lost to the Panthers.
Sense, yeah.
Is that, yeah. So this is like a 4.5 point move here as we're seeing. I need to dig into numbers a little bit more. I am very low on the Bucs at this point, but I'm not sure a 4-point move here off the look ahead is appropriate. So, we'll see what Eli and Mo think on Beat the Closing Line on Tuesday. You can stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we'll have a Thursday night preview on our YouTube channel as well with Matt Brown. Okay, early slate. Oh, wait, I was going to get the 1 o'clock, but hey, we got another London game this week.
Yeah.
Our resident London home team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I guess that they got some home field advantage here. They're 3.5 point favorites with a 39.5 point total.
Are you saying that sarcastically, tongue in cheek?
Yes.
Because,
yes.
I just wanted to double check because they have played in London a lot, but you're still not giving them home field for that, right?
No, definitely not.
All right, fair enough. Because the reason I ask is because this is one of my early week bets. I did bet this at 4.5 at BetMGM this morning, despite the juice being minus 115. I bet this for a couple of reasons. First of all, Trevor Lawrence has not played particularly well from an advanced metric standpoint. You can go back to last week's Megapod to hear the reasons. He's near the bottom of the league his last 3 weeks going into that Giants game, and EPA and success rate and completion percentage over expected. He's now facing an elite Denver defense. This is a top 2 defense in the National Football League statistically. And I think we've seen at least a little bit of optimism early in the week already that Russell Wilson may play in this game. And in my opinion, if Russell Wilson does play, despite how putrid this Broncos offense has been with Nathaniel Hackett, if Wilson's on the field against a Jaguars secondary that was shredded by the Colts passing game, I don't see how this can be 4.5. So I did bet it at BetMGM this morning at 4.5. We're seeing 3.5s in some spots. So we'll see. I think this is probably, Christian, one-way action moving the line back towards Denver if we get increased optimism on Russell Wilson, I would assume.
Yeah, he'll obviously, kind of change where we sit here. So, and I think you've already kind of seen that movement. You said you got it at 4.5 this morning. We're already up to 3.5. So starting to go that way.
There you go. Okay, early slate of games on Sunday, and we can start where you want. My board's showing Panthers and Falcons first. Not sure what your board's showing.
Yep, Panthers at Falcons. Falcons are 6-point favorites. That totals 42. And we have Bears at Cowboys. Cowboys are 10-point favorites. Total 42.5. Dolphins at the Lions. Dolphins are 3-point favorites with a 49.5 point total. Cardinals at Vikings. Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. Total 49. Raiders at the Saints. Raiders are 2-point favorites on the road with the total being 48. Patriots at the Jets. Patriots are 1.5-point favorites on the road here with a 41-point total. And last of the 1 o'clocks, Steelers at the Eagles. Eagles are 11-point favorites, total 43.5.
A couple quick notes here. First of all, the line movement off the look ahead for the Cardinals-Vikings game is significant. I believe this was about 6.5 on the look ahead. Vikings minus 6.5. We're down, much further below that at this point. I'm not saying it's necessarily an overreaction because If you look at our power rankings each week at the lines, I've continued to keep the Vikings outside my top 7 and keep them more in the bottom of the top 10 because the yards per play metrics have not been good for the Vikings. They've been winning, and they've been winning fairly comfortably, but they haven't been crazy impressive and efficient on a per play basis, either on offense or on defense too, with a secondary that appears to be below average. So I'm going to dig into the numbers a little bit more here, see if I think it's too much of a line move to back the Vikings now at a better number. But I just thought the line movement was interesting there, considering the Cardinals won that game with a couple of pick sixes at the end of the first half by Andy Dalton that I'm not sure. I'm very sure that is not predictive on a week-to-week basis that they can rely on something like that. So just a note on that game. But my other early week bet here is the New England Patriots at the Jets. And I know that they haven't played yet on Monday night, but I'm fairly confident because I'm not sure I really care who the quarterback is. If Mac Jones gets re-injured in Monday night and Bailey Zappi comes in, I'm fine with that. Zach Wilson has been really bad, and it appears Breece Hall may be lost for the year now for the Jets, who was basically they're in more than half of their offense the last couple of weeks. Now, I think the Jets defense is legitimate. I think I've been really impressed by them. They are top 5 in the league in pressure rate while being bottom 5 in the league in blitz rate. But this offense has not been good with Zach Wilson. And now they lose a huge piece of their running game. And you're facing Bill Belichick, who I have confidence can find some weak spots against this Jets defense and do enough to win on the road here at a small number. So that is my second early week bet for week number 8. Christian, the late slate of games here before we get into the primetime opening odds for week number 8.
Yeah, 4 games in the 4:00 slate here. Titans at Texans. Titans are 3.5-point favorites on the road, a 41-point total. Commanders at the Colts. Colts are 4-point favorites. That total is 42. 49ers at the Rams. 49ers are 1.5-point favorites here on the road. That total being 41. And finally, the 4:00 Giants at the Seahawks. Seahawks are 2.5-point favorites. That totals 46.5.
Man, market correction on the Seahawks at this point. They look like they might be a playoff team. So and I think each and every week the Giants continue to be underdogs despite their record because of their advanced metrics not being all that impressive. And I think a lot of professional bettors, have lost money on the Giants at this point because they continue to cover spreads, but they continue to do so with performances that traditionally have not been repetitive week to week or predictive week to week. So we'll see if that continues this week in Seattle or not. My final week 8 bet, at least at the beginning of the week here, is the Washington Commanders +4 against the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm done with the Colts. I'm just done. Like, this offensive line can't protect. They had one good week against the Jaguars, which now appears to be a significant outlier compared to the rest of their resume. And I'm not sure this Colts team should be a 4-point favorite against anybody, to be honest with you. This is a similar spread to what we saw with Washington last week, albeit at home against the Green Bay Packers. And I think it's a similar handicap. In that game against the Packers, we thought Green Bay's offensive line was vulnerable based on the win block metrics that ESPN puts out against Washington's front 7. It turned out that way. They were not able to consistently pass the ball. The Packers wide receivers weren't able to separate and get open. I think the Colts wide receivers are obviously better than Green Bay's, but that offensive line is worse. And Matt Ryan has had a tendency all season to turn the ball over when he's getting pressured. So similar handicap here for me. Washington wins that game against Green Bay despite a pick 6 from Taylor Heineke. We can avoid that kind of game-breaking play this week with Heineke. I'm very comfortable with this +4 for Washington. Prime time now, Sunday and Monday Night Football for Week 8, Christian.
Packers at the Bills, Sunday Night Football. Bills are 10.5-point favorites, and that totals 47.5. And Monday Night Football, Bengals at the Browns. Bengals are 3-point favorites on the road, and the total's 47.
Teased it a little bit earlier. This is the biggest underdog Aaron Rodgers has ever been. The last was in an NFC Championship game against the Legion of Boom and the Seahawks. He covered that 8.5-point spread, albeit lost the game. But You said 10.5, correct?
10.5.
The biggest spread by 2 points for Aaron Rodgers as an underdog in his career. And I think this also goes back to the opinion that the market and the books now have of the Buffalo Bills. If you look at Super Bowl futures, Christian, the Bills are plus 275 at BetMGM, and then a significant drop off to the Eagles at plus 500. And then the Chiefs at plus 600, and then a lot of teams that are then double digits. So a clear top three, but really a top one in that top tier with that short price of plus 275. We're seeing it in the week 8 odds of the Buffalo Bills at minus 10.5 against Aaron Rodgers. Just a general question here, Christian. This is kind of rare territory for the Buffalo Bills at this point, right? In terms of market respect and market rating. It's not something we've seen in some time here, at least the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's, I guess, a little bit of a combo of both. Of the Bills are really good, and then there's also not really enough teams that are showing us that they can compete with them. Outside of the Chiefs and maybe the Eagles on the other side, no one else is really showing that they can consistently keep up with the Bills at this point, which is why we're at the price point we are.
Yeah, that's an interesting reaction to this, not just the performance of the Bills. And we've talked about it with our staff at the Lines as well, that like, who are you confident in that's going to put up a consistent performance week to week, even in the top 10, right? Even from like 4 to 10, I think, is it fair to say the Bills are probably more than a field goal favorite over every single team in the league, and probably closer to a touchdown once you get outside that top 3?
Yeah, I'd say they're probably a touchdown favorite almost over almost anyone outside of the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's just wild. We did a little bit of research on the Bills last week, looking at their Super Bowl price. This is over the past 2 seasons, no team in the NFL has had Super Bowl futures odds this short during the regular season, and it's only week 8. Now, a lot can change. Yeah. It's a violent sport. Injuries happen, but that's the kind of respect the Bills have at this point to be shorter than 3-1 in Super Bowl futures odds. We have not seen that in the past couple of years, even when the Chiefs offense was as dominant as what we're seeing with Buffalo here. So just a really interesting dynamic. All right, Christian, before we close up here, let's talk some World Series. Friday, game 1 in Houston between the Phillies and the Astros. Where is your series price at BetMGM for the 2022 World Series? And then kind of give us an idea of how the liabilities have shaked out here throughout the season in the baseball futures market.
Yeah, so right now we have the Astros at minus 180 and the Phillies at plus 150. We are in a little bit of a unique situation when it does come to liability, as Mattress Mac placed a $2 million bet at 5-1 on them back in August or July. So all of our liability has been on the Astros. We've been rooting against the Astros since the beginning here. But if you do take that out, we have been recently, we have been getting more Phillies bets. So if you cut that out, the liability would be on the Phillies for us. Just through this run, people just keep hitting them. But yeah, we're not rooting for the Astros at the book for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, legal betting market in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, obviously, so you're going to get some fans betting on them. They were a juicy price. I bet them back in May about, after that win streak they went on following the firing of Joe Girardi. They were 50-1 then at BetMGM. I do have a 50-1 Phillies ticket in my BetMGM account, so fingers crossed on that one. But I imagine, though, that teams like the Dodgers and the Braves getting knocked out were a really good result for you guys in terms of the liability. And the Mets as well, I assume.
Yeah, of course. And the Yankees also. Those were one spots that we had them in, when you take out the big $2 million bet we had. But we also, an interesting ticket I found today too is someone did place a $50 bet with us back in April. Astros to beat the Phillies, exact World Series outcome, pays out $125,000. So that's a real crazy bet.
So let me quick math here. 125,000 divided by 50. I think you said that I'm doing my count. 2,500 to 1.
Yeah.
Oh my God. 2,500 to 1 on an exact outcome of the Astros over the Phillies. That's insane. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. All the way back in April. Yep.
Wow. Well, wish it was me.
Same. Yep.
Anyway, that's good stuff. It's a shame he's not going to cash it though, because the Phillies are winning the World Series. So
That's right. Can't stop him. Team of destiny, it seems.
Good stuff, man. Well, I hope everybody enjoys the World Series. I hope everybody enjoys the National Football League in week number 8. Love doing this show with you, Christian. Really appreciate all your insight as always.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. As always, Tuesday, Mo, Eli, and Nicole will be back with Beat the Closing Line. Thursday, Matt Brown will have his TNF preview. And then Friday, our mega pod as well for week 8 with Adam Caney, Matt Brown, and myself. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let us know in the comments who you are betting on in week 8 and the World Series. And as always, thank you for watching. Best of luck with your bets in the World Series and week number 8.